Good evening, everyone. So for social science, we did how a bill becomes a law, smoking laws. This is going to be for a 12th grade government class. The lesson plan is scheduled for 55 minutes, so a regular class period. The content focus will be focusing on how a bill becomes a law and how the power of the law affects regulations in the smoking industry itself. Some of the essential literacy skills that students will need to do is research projects to demonstrate understanding of tobacco regulations and laws. Related skills, students will relate the powers of and procedures of law to real-life tobacco regulations, which we'll be focusing on. The standards were derived from California Standards of Content for Social Science. We have 12.4, students will analyze unique roles and responsibilities of the three branches of government as established by the U.S. Constitution. So in this case, it's going to be focusing on Congress and the judicial system and how they get laws made. Secondly, 12.7, students will analyze and compare the powers and procedures of the national, state, tribal, and local governments. So they're going to see how the state governments are affected by the federal government's laws and regulations. And some literacy standards, their students are going to be able to sustain their research project to answer questions. So they're going to look into some of the laws and regulations that have been established. Instructional learning objectives, students will be able to explain how laws are passed at the national and state levels. Students will also be able to describe current advertising and age regulation governing the tobacco industry through the laws being passed by the governments. The type of assessments that will be conducted, a lot of class discussions after the lecture and a lot of check for understanding in between the lecture itself. And the formal will be completed by a graphic organizer, and it will be also be considered as an exit ticket for class. Language function will be explained. The students are going to need to be able to explain why certain regulations are as they are. Additional language demands, the vocabulary. We have bill, veto, filibuster, standing committee, and subcommittee. And for discourse, they're going to do a lot of pair sharing and discussion before they get into the graphic organizers. The materials that will be needed for the class will be the skeleton notes, the student information cards so they can call on the students, the PowerPoint presentation, and their Chromebooks, laptops, or iPads, whichever one they have. We're going to have a video presentation at the beginning of class that will be part of a hook. And here we also have some of other information as well that will be provided. Student prior knowledge, students will be able to explain what the three branches of government are and have a preliminary understanding of each branch's role and responsibilities when it comes to laws and how they're governed. Next, we have the transition from the previous activity. We're going to talk about what we learned in our previous class when we transition into the new one. The hook will be asking students simply if they ever seen any type of sign or postage that says restricted sale. In this case, it's going to be tobacco and cigarettes and such. And for the first 15 minutes of class, we're going to have the video and lecture. First, we're going to get them with the Schoolhouse Rock video. That will be less than 2 minutes, or about 2 minutes or so. And then we're going to start with the PowerPoint presentation. Throughout the PowerPoint presentation, they're going to be taking notes with their skeleton notes. And also, the teacher will be giving several tips for understandings. Here we have some questions for them to ask through it. Some of the scaffolding and differentiating that we're going to have for our students. When it comes to long-term English learners, the teacher will provide the skeleton notes. Same thing goes with our IEPs or struggling students. They're going to have the framework right in front of them to fill out the notes. Guided instruction practice, we're going to pass out the tobacco regulation worksheet in which they're going to work on it together. Oops, sorry about that. And then finally, independent practice, students will work in their groups of 2. If they're absent, the teacher will arrange, and this is where hopefully the teacher will have a better understanding of how the classroom is like. Differentiating, of course, we're going to have students who will be placed in groups of 4 or 5 for extra collaborative work. EL students will play with strong language students, hopefully are bilingual. This activity also has a lot of visual representation with summary with peer, so those skeletons will definitely help them out. And finally, for the closure, after an independent group, the students are going to be finishing their worksheet for as a exit slip. Thank you very much.